Hi everyone, I'm Sunja, Microsoft MVP. Today I would like to share with you about Azure security best practice you need to know. Why I will share this topic because this is common found in configuration in Microsoft Azure portal by the Azure administrator. And here you will see that got 20 of the vulnerability configuration in the Microsoft Azure in the Azure portal by the Azure administrator. No need worry, let's start with the first one. The first one, storage account accessible from the internet. The default setting of an Azure storage account is to allow access from anywhere. Such a setting will naturally bring risks such as potential unauthorized data access, data leak, and others issues. Always use the principle of least privilege and restrict access to each storage account only from the selected IP address, network range, or VNet subnet. The second one, insecure transfer of storage account. With this setting, secure data transfer to storage can be enforced. This means that any unencrypted request through an insecure protocol will be rejected. The default setting of an Azure storage account is to accept any agreement, which inevitably make cloud storage vulnerable to eavesdropping attack. A well-positioned attacker may eavesdrop on communication and gain access to sensitive or private information. Obviously, encrypted data transmission should be enabled for all storage accounts. Third one, lack of multi-factor authentication for privileged users. Any user with management or right access to any Azure resources should require multi-factor authentication, including the following role: administrator, service core admin, subscription owner, contributor. It is very important to use MFA to protect this highly privileged account because they are very likely to be target of adversary. After enabling MFA, the difficulty of attack is greatly increased. It's also greatly reduced the risk. Please note that Microsoft Azure supports various multi-factor authentication solutions and options, some of which are free and some of them are offered on a subscription basis under a premium brand, such as Azure Multi-Factor Authentication Conditional Access Strategy. In any case, at least some kind of MFA should be enforced for all administrative use. Number 4, lack of multi-factor authentication for newly added device. All users should be required to provide a second authentication method before the device can be added to the Active Directory. This is to ensure malicious devices are prevented from being added to the directory through compromised account. The risk is that attacker may add uncontrolled, non-compliant malicious device to the corporate network and then use them to access corporate applications and other resources. Number 5, free version of Azure Security Center. Compared with the free version, the paid and enhanced version of Azure Security Center adds the following important security features: threat detection and threat intelligence source, abnormality detection, behavior analysis, and security alert. Machine learning function that can identify new type of attack and zero-day attack vulnerability scanning and vulnerability management of the entire infrastructure, advanced access and application control to prevent malware and other cyber attacks. These features above doubly help defense against certain cyber attacks. Despite the increased cost, these features should be enabled in every production environment. Number 6, basic DDoS protection for virtual network. Compared with basic DDoS protection, enhanced standard DDoS protection provide the following additional defense measures: near real-time telemetry and traffic monitoring, continuous attack alert and notification, adaptive adjustment and flaw analysis, detailed attack analysis. The above measure can help defense against network-based DDoS attack. Standard DDoS defense service should be enabled on all important VNets in each production environment. The only downside is that these and advanced features so additional fees are required. Number 7, unencrypt operating system and data. Needless to say, this encryption should become a standard configuration in every production environment, workstation, server, and cloud environment. In the cloud environment, sometimes referred as encryption at rest, Azure supports this encryption for Windows and Linux VM. In Windows environment, use BitLocker. In Linux environment, use dmcrypt. According to Azure documentation, this encryption should not affect the performance or increase any cost. Therefore, there is no reason not to enable encryption for all these. These include operating system disk, data disk, and unconnected disk. Let's go for the next one. Missing email notification in a security center. Running a production environment on the Azure cloud without configuring email notification in the Azure Security Center can be regarded as a major security incident. Azure Security Center should always be configured with the email address and or phone number in order to receive the notification about incident, especially when certain resources are threatened. Email notification should be configured in each environment and always monitored with a high priority. Number 9. Log alerts are missing from the Azure Monitor. Azure Monitoring and Alerting Service allow the creation of custom alerts tailored to the specific needs of the service deployed in the Azure cloud. It is properly configured with relevant alert condition. It can provide an early indication of problem in the environment instead of relying on built-in Azure security features. Therefore, in the Azure Architect Review, you always want to see clearly defined list of custom alert related to the environment. The following is an example list of alert we can use. Azure monitoring alerts, index value, record shared query, activity loss event, the operating status of the basic Azure platform, test website usability. Let's go for number 10. Azure NSG inbound rules is configured as any. When defining firewall rules in NSG network security group, a common misconfiguration is that the protocol source or destination is configured as any. This approach may lead the risk of traffic exceeding expected traffic. For attackers, these simply being configuration are often a breach of their invention. The best practice is to always adhere to the principle of least privilege. Only allow specific protocol with clearly defined source and destination address to define the firewall rules. Please note that it strongly recommends to enable Layer 7 firewall in Azure with application awareness. Layer 7 firewall provide enhanced security features throughout the Azure network, including the application. Number 11. The public IP address is configured as a basic SKU. Compared with the basic SKU, configuring the public IP address as a standard SKU stock-keeping unit in Azure has the following advantage. Real static IP address, safe by default, not open to inbound traffic, allow regional redundancy and zoning. Support future expansion. For the basic SKU, the main security issue is overall openness unless specially protected by a firewall by default. The system assigns the public IP address of the basic SKU will be completely exposed to the outside world. Needless to say, this is a taboo in any production environment. In a production environment, all public IP address should be configured as standard SKU, and their network traffic should be fully understood. Please note that once the IP address is configured in either way, this setting cannot be changed. Therefore, solving this problem may require planning for downtime and migration time. Number 12. Dynamic IP address for public-facing services. This is not a real security hole in itself, but it is a serious misconfiguration for any public-facing system. If the IP address is dynamic, it means that it can be changed at any time, such as after a reboot or DHCP list renewal. Moreover, when it appears on a publicly available system, it can destroy many things, such as DNS record, monitoring and log and alert, system integration and interoperability. This may cause unnecessary availability issues such as DOS. Therefore, it is always strongly recommended to use static IP address for any public-facing services. Number 13. Block storage with anonymous and access. Azure Block Storage is a powerful and convenient way to share the data on the cloud. It supports following three access control options. One, private, block, and container. Configuring the access level to the later two options, anonymous read access, will bring security risks such as unauthorized access to data leak, and so on. In a production environment, all block storage should be set to private and any anonymous access prohibited. Number 14. High number of guest users in the Azure AD. Guest users in the Azure AD are usually accounts created by the external user. They are just outsiders, so please minimize their number. The problem is that the passage of time, the number of visitors users of some company continue to accumulate, which often cause some visitors to forget to reward their access right after they fail. This is very dangerous. The guest account often become an attacker foothold in the network environment, which may lead to privilege escalation and other problems in the Azure cloud environment. Therefore, the number of guest accounts should always be tracked. In fact, CIS benchmarks even recommend not using guest user at all. Let's go for 15. Insecure guest user setting in Azure AD. From having guest having guest account in AD is one thing. Providing them with high privilege is another. By default, compared with full features internal member users, guests have very limited privilege, but in Azure AD, guests can also configure to have same privilege as member user. Configure through external collaboration setting. The configuration described above will grant guest user of for the following permission. Enumerate all other user and group, read the property of all registered enterprise applications, invite other user to join the organization from outside. From a security point of view, this is of course very insecure and should change as soon as possible unless there is very strong reason. Finally, it is recommended to completely cancel the guest account. Number 16. Unrestricted access to Azure AD Management Portal. The Azure AD Management Portal contains a lot of sensitive information. By default, any user under Azure AD can access it. This means you can log in with the Azure portal as a standard member user and browse, view almost all setting details of other user, group membership, and application. This is a major security risk should therefore be restricted. Number 17. Azure Identity Protection features is disabled. Azure Identity Protection adds an extra layer of protection user account in Active Directory to reduce the login, such as user abnormal behavior, the source IP address of the malware link, user account leak, password injection, attack attempt, anonymous source IP address such as door. These are the features that help to keep the Azure AD environment more secure. So it is strongly recommended to enable these features. The only downside is that this is an advanced feature that will need an additional cost. Azure Network Watches is disabled. Azure Network Watches provide a broader diagnostic and visualization tools of understanding and solving network problems in the Azure network. It is also provide network flow analysis for NSG, network security group, Azure Firewall, including packet capture with specific VM, and many other diagnostic functions. Each feature is disabled by default, and it is recommended that user enable these features for all areas. We can also use the Azure CLI check the status of network watches by using exact network watches list. Number 19. HTTPS is not enforced for all application traffic. From a security perspective, for all internet and external web applications, only secure HTTPS connection should be accepted, which also today's security standard. HTTPS provides the very necessary security, confidentiality, and privacy. After enabling the above setting, every incoming secure HTTP request for a given Azure Web Service will be redirected to HTTPS port. HTTPS configuration should be done for all Azure Web Services. For a database in Azure, the same strategy should be implemented. For example, MySQL, PostgreSQL server. All servers should be enabled the forced SSL connection option. Now, you may wondering which TLS and TLS should you use. NIST, National Institute of Standards and Technology, and PCI Payment Card Industry no longer recommend using the TLS version 1.0 and 1.1. Therefore, you should always choose at least TLS version 1.2. Now we come to the last one, monitoring strategy in Azure Security Center. The CIS benchmark recommends enabling the following monitoring strategy in Azure Security Center: calculation and application, which include system upgrade, operating system vulnerability, endpoint protection, disk encryption, vulnerability assessment, adaptive application control. Under the Internet category, network security group, web application firewall, and next generation firewall. Under the data category, storage encryption, SQL audit, SQL encryption. All these policies should be enabled in every production environment. This strategy provides basic security monitoring of Azure cloud environment. When enabling this policy, you should also enable automatically set monitoring agent. This will ensure the Azure monitoring agent is pre-configured and all existing virtual machines deployed in the environment and any new virtual machine created in the future. In conclusion, assessing the security status of the Microsoft Azure cloud environment is not easy. Like any other cloud technology, Microsoft Azure is a complex topic. To set up security securely require a huge effort, require knowledge of multiple technical areas, and require knowledge of the Azure ecosystem. You will need to understand many areas in depth, not just the Azure cloud in itself. That's all for my 20 misconfiguration in Microsoft Azure. If you got any question, you can drop me the message in my YouTube channel. If you still not subscribe my YouTube channel, please press the button of subscribe and like this video and subscribe this channel. Thank you.